The rise of online pornography and sexting. We look at what that means for teen sexuality. And later, we hit the streets to talk about teens and how they dress. I'm Affan Chowdhry. Welcome to Globe Now. It is a window into what young Canadians are doing online and on their phones. And the findings are going to be concerning to teachers and parents. In 2005, 16% of Canadian teens had checked out pornography online. In 2013, that number rose to nearly a quarter of all teens. Among boys, the behavior was frequent. Virtually 3 out of 10 boys were seeking pornography on a daily or weekly basis. The study was carried out by MediaSmarts, a digital literacy nonprofit which surveyed students between grade 7 and 11 about these issues. As for sexting, 11% of students in grade 7 said they were receiving sexts that were created by the sender. And with every higher grade, the percentage of students getting these sexts increased. Joining us now is Berkha Gupta, the Teen Programming and Social Media Coordinator with Planned Parenthood Toronto, a pro-choice community group involved in promoting healthy sexuality among young people. Welcome, Berkha.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the increased online viewing of pornography, sexting being the new normal among young Canadians. What are the consequences of this behavior?
The consequences of it in terms of the actual usage of pornography or sexting are no different than the consequences of us not talking about sexual health with youth in general. Pornography is definitely changing because it's more easily accessible, but it's no different in the way that it looks than it looked like in Playboy or in the videotapes that people tried to steal from their parents in the 80s. Sexting is just a new mechanism of the ways youth are communicating now. I think the consequences of where we're failing youth is that we're not having the conversations that talk about what does it mean to have so much pornography and what sex looks like in pornography. And so consequences are actually that we're leaving youth to figure it out on their own, what pornography is in relation to actual relationships and sex.
I mean, just to take the sexting example, I mean, these are sometimes images, that are being shared of, young Canadians in partially nude or nude, images. Yeah. There is an aspect of this, arguably, where, people are not showing, empathy or engaging in unethical behavior. Doesn't that concern you?
Yeah, it concerns me, but it doesn't concern me in the nature of the fact that, because youth are sharing things, I think where we're failing youth is that we're not having the conversations of what the implications are when they're sharing. The conversation is always don't share, which is a fear-based approach, and it doesn't work with youth. And the other thing we're not doing is we're not talking to youth about what it means to, trust relationships and privacy. So if someone is sharing something, why are they passing it on? That is the issue, right? And the issue is when they are passing it on, why are some people being shamed more than others? Because we do live in a sharing culture. It's very much around sexualization and the way sexualization is gendered.
Okay, let's talk about some concrete tips for educators and parents. I mean, schools feel like they're always having to catch up with young people in terms of technological advances. What are some concrete tips when it comes to sex education for schools?
So educators can bring people like ourselves in, like Planned Parenthood Toronto has educators that we can come in, and there's other people across the nation that do this work. They can also give resources to youth of where they can go to find the answers, right? So I run a program called Teen Health Source where they can talk to other teens by text, and we'll give them the answer straight up, and we'll give them the actual education that they need. And educators can also talk about media literacy and can talk about actually what's happening in the media without talking about sex. Because sex isn't just about the activity of sex, but it's about relationships and body image and self-esteem also.
What is your top tip for parents? Because they're going to be reading these findings and they're going to be really alarmed. What is your top tip for them?
My top tip to parents is that bring yourself into the conversation. Make your kids believe that they can talk to you and that you're not going to lecture them and you're not going to be telling them what not to do, but you're rather going to be trusting them and telling them where they can find healthy answers and choices.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Berkha.
Thank you.
Well, we want to hear from you. Do you think there is a growing problem among young Canadians when it comes to online pornography and cell phone sexting? Or are people just overreacting and this is all normal, okay behavior? We want to hear from you. Tweet us at Globe Now. Well, stay with us. Up next, we look at the thorny issue of teens, style, and sexuality. Well, the weather is getting warmer and everyone is going to want to stay cool, literally that is. But for a high school in Newfoundland and Labrador, apparently the students went too far and broke the dress code. What did some of them do? Well, boys wore shirts with no sleeves and girls were wearing tank tops that showed their bra straps. And that, as one student was told, would be distracting to male teachers and other students. Well, we put the question to people on the streets here in Toronto. What do you think about how teens dress for school?
It's very important to teens to be able to express themselves, and I think a lot of the ways that they do that is through clothes.
These days, a lot of kids dress a little more scandalous than what I did when I was in high school. But if it's like 30 degrees outside, I wouldn't have an issue seeing some teenager in a pair of shorts and a tank top.
You're going to school not for, pastime or anything. It's to learn the way of life, right?
I kind of liked having the ability to wear whatever I want in public school. My friends and I were definitely related to having some kind of a subculture within the way that we dressed.
I don't know. I don't think it's a real issue to have a dress code. I don't think it's necessary. And plus, I think you're also infringing a little on rights of the individual to express themselves the way they choose to.
Well, that's all for today's show. Let us know what you think about some of the students being sent home in Newfoundland for the sleeveless tank tops and those bra straps showing. Also, what do you think is the best way to deal with online pornography and sexting among Canadian students? Hop onto Twitter and tweet us at Globe Now. I'm Affan Chowdhry. Thanks again for watching.